We'll just wait a few minutes. Welcome as people are coming.
Man,
haven't seen you in a while, Jade. Good to see you, Jade. You're right in the center of my screen for some reason. All right.
Good morning, everyone. Put this.
So I'm going to, in just a moment, I'm going to introduce you to Reggie. We'll just wait a couple minutes, Reggie, before we get started and I make an introduction. Okay. I love hearing the doorbell sound.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't hear doorbells very much anymore. So when I hear one, it's like a nice little sweet sound. Yeah.
That's why I wanted to bring the sounds of birds today.
Well, you're in such a sweet location, Reggie.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe we will get started now. So hello, my name is Elaine Miller-Karas. I'm the co-founder of the Trauma Resource Institute. I know many of you. And it is my honor today to introduce to you Reggie McNeil from TYM, which stands for Transforming Youth Movement from North Carolina. And Reggie and his team are doing amazing work with youth. And we wanted to have you all know the kinds of things that he and his team are doing to really empower youth in his community. And Reggie, with that, if you have other team members with you that may be making comments, I'm going to invite you to introduce them. And so it's now over to you, Reggie, over to you.
So good morning, Ms. Miller-Karas, and thank you so much for allowing me a platform such as this to share both our organization and why I think the importance of CRM skills are needed in the space and with the youth that we use. If you want to pull the PowerPoint presentation up, will be fantastic. And in addition to, I've got some staff around me, including out here in my little gazebo, and they're already believing that I won't say to this population, to those who know me from where I come from, we're like, yay, yay. And that is for Miss Shannon Chambers, who's supposed to be shaking her head, but there we have it. I'm really so excited to have this opportunity, but I do have some team with me. I imagine that we've got team across our counties. And in addition to, I've got family and friends from around the country who's joined in. And so to all of you, including your team, thanks again for this platform. But Ms. Shannon Chambers is my Director of Operations, playing a heavy role. Mr. Claude Whitfield, our Director of Community Engagement, is here with me, and my wife, Sharon, who plays a lot of director. That's a lot of other story, but we'll get to that later and why I needed CRM skills.
Well, she doesn't direct you, does she, Reggie?
Hey, well, listen, between her and Shannon, I'm the most regulated person you're going to get a chance to meet. That's why I'm a Pisces. All right, so if you want to move to the next slide. So our organization was a dream I had in 2000. It took 10 years of me running around needing a lot of CRM skills, letting everybody believe that it was already in existence. Long version short, 2014, I reconnected with Ms. Chambers, who had a lot of space in this area, and introduced me to the nonprofit space in a way that could help me bring the dream to reality. Exempted by the state with exemptions in 15, and we launched our first program in 2016. Our organization, on its creed with the mission statement, exists to inspire positive social change and community transformation through youth. We put an emphasis on through and youth because too often I think we forget what it was like to be a young person, and it requires the CRM skills to get us back to where we can meet young people where they are. Next slide, please. So our organization has 6 focus areas, as you can see, with mentoring, educational enhancement, career preparedness, cultural and social awareness, civic engagement, and financial literacy being the core. We have 5 different program types now come underneath the Transforming Youth Movement brand. We call them SHIFT for program types. Mentoring is a year-long program connecting youth to volunteers throughout the community to increase values, in addition to utilizing a positive action curriculum to bring some values in addition to self-awareness and some other stuff, including ending with the partnerships of the 6 focus areas, helping us bring all of those edges to those youth in that space. Culminates at the end of a year. We get the kids through 3 summer camps and then somewhere around the country. We've been as far as Orlando, Florida, Washington, D.C., South Carolina, and some other places, including Virginia. We're able to place kids in foster care because of a partnership we have with Pinnacle here in Cabarrus County. That provides the temporary specialized foster care, which you see 14 to 30 days can be an assessment made at which those kids can be placed in a safe environment. We've got a vocational program that's a 25-week program. At the end of 12 weeks, those kids have learned all things, including everything that you can think of, career readiness. I've been fortunate to travel 26 states, and I'll get to that later, leading in some ways, including hiring, et cetera. And youth get a chance to go through an entire process, and then we in turn pay them up to 100 hours for the first 100 hours as they look to hopefully intern into the careers. The team court experience is what it sounds like. Our young people get to lead the whole court process. They're the bailiff, the jury of their peers, the district attorney, and the defense attorney. They're all things court. And then they get a chance to bring young people in a nutshell to a place to where they, of a jury of their own peers, can get to then make the decisions based on a process that we create for them and the choices to be handed down in terms of sentencing. And then those young people get to make those decisions. Long version short, the next one is our restitution and community service program. This is one of which we've been working with the likes of the 26th District of Judges, Mecklenburg County's Youth Coalition, in addition to many others, juvenile justice, behavioral health, juvenile justice in general, working on a program that we believe that even in addition to community service, when a kid's been ordered to restitution in addition to, we can still connect them to some pro-social and interest-based initiatives that are more meaningful in its content, but then it's restorative at the end, but all allows them to still pay their debts back to society, but get connected to those in the community that can best foster relationships. And at the same time, we still pay those dollars back to the victims, as you can see. So it's still a win-win proposition for the victim and youth.
Reggie, could you, one of the things that was so profound to me is when you were talking about some of the terms that we use that you really want to change. And one is that you said, what would you like for our youth to be called rather than at-risk youth who've had challenges?
Yeah, so when I got into this field about 5 years ago and now 2.5 years of being full-time, the thing that most hurt my heart was that they would be called at-risk youth. And certainly I understand, because truly we all are at risk at some space in our lives. But if we revered youth as at opportunity, then we could see them where they are, meet them where their needs are, and then bring them back to a holistic approach to no matter what the program types we use. So the term in general, at opportunity, is how we see it.
Well, and I think that having that perspective is just like kind of the core foundation too of the community resiliency model. That when we think about a strength-based approach and we think about resiliency focused and informed, we really want to think about how do we change that terminology. So thank you so much for amplifying that for all of us, because we have people from all over the world that come to our CRIM Global calls, and if that's the terminology that's being used, maybe we can start changing it. So anyway,
Absolutely.
yes.
Well, yeah, thank you so much again. It's why I'm so humbled to have a platform such as this. But yes, at opportunity in itself, if you just, for what it's worth, to your point, we're using CRIM skills, take and evaluate that for a moment, then I think the most of us see the possibility of changing youth from where they are at opportunity. But next slide too, please. So here's some staggering stats. 1,269 young males we've served today, 242 young females. As you can see, nearly 6 times, you can see young men somewhere across our programs are going to see themselves found before juvenile justice. They're going to find themselves at the end of the opportunity to speak to an SRO or a police officer, someone in law enforcement. 97% of our youth have come through this process. So when the term being at risk is what it is, they are in fact still at the most opportunity of the youth we serve throughout our communities. And if we could get the CRIM skills in addition to the ideology of change, then from perspective, we can see that this population is coming to us. Now, what do we want to do utilizing our skills of awareness to create the systems of environment in addition to equities and inclusion, but I'll talk about later, but the things that can then, meet these young people where they are. Our organization serves 15% of a Spanish population, and you can see the max population in terms of the youth that we most serve. Our organization serves 10 to 18 years old and is primarily through the Department of Public Safety, down through your local juvenile crime prevention council where decisions are made. And then from there is the resources that we use. As you can see the breakdown by ethnicity, there really is a gap regardless to how we think. This is a reality of not perception, the reality of the youth that come through the juvenile system to us by the numbers. And next slide, please. So I won't belabor this one, but I thought I'd bring it for humor because this gets me to the place where then I'm introduced to crib skills, of which I need almost every day of my life. But in 1973, I was an adopted young kid to a great aunt and uncle. In 76, I was an elementary kid going to school for the first time. I'm really elated. Didn't have no issues in life, was a humble, happy kid. In 1979, I watched the Klan walk down my street for the first time, in addition to some Hells Angels driving around and up and down the street. And from there, I probably began traumatization, but didn't realize it at the moment. Long version short, in 1981, I started experiencing both racism in real ways, in addition to bullying, which included, kids in my, class telling me, hey, you know what? Your mom's a little bit older than, what the norm might be. I tell my team all the time for some humor. It would be the equivalence of James Brown, like still in style for the elders, but Michael Jackson's ready to take over. And I was still being dressed like James Brown. A long version short, I did come to know who my mom was in '83, introduced to the fact I got a real brother and a stepmom and a stepfather. Long story short, it didn't take long before I was a runaway kid. I started learning what the survival brain included, needed to be coached at that moment, but didn't have the mentorships at that time, but certainly, so I had to figure it out, as you can see. In '91, I got introduced to the criminal justice system, including all of the stigmas that come along with it. In '97, it was an altering moment, life experience where I changed to a place where I do believe in a faith-led life. In '98, I decided to go to Atlanta, Georgia, met my wife, and two men, or three or four and five, they started growing from men that would become mentors that began to help me start to change some ideology. I became a general manager of two global companies, as you can see, in 2000. And by 2000, at the same time, I thought, wow, I can do this, but with youth at that same time. And we dreamed the dream that we're living today with the lights of the Lord, and including Miss Chambers. We were able to make that reality come to fruition, as you've already heard. But in 2019, the I was introduced by Cardinal Innovations, in addition to the state, to go and try a CRIM course. In that, at that space and time, I come to realize that I, in fact, had been not only suppressing emotions, but I had not dealt with unresolved traumas from the life legacy that you see in front of you, including starting to implement things like mindfulness and including meditation. Next slide, please. It told me in fact, we did need a perspective shift. It was, in fact, time for somebody to look at me and say, that's just not a bad kid. He don't really need to be punished. Maybe, he need to be met where he is in this moment. It's not that he don't care, etc. And I loved when I then was introduced to the card, the pocket cards deal here, what that said it is about not a human weakness, but it is in fact about biology. So that in itself sparked my curiosity to want to learn even more and more. Took the 5-day course, and now I do believe in a trauma-informed community. where people are in fact suffering. There are needs for intervention, and it won't have to with this crowd because I know there are a lot of bright and astute folk here, and you guys get and probably have studied, Miss Elaine Karas' model with regard to CRM, but having a need in particular, and with the youth that we serve, as I've already shared, are the most at risk or at opportunity of them all. Then in fact, then we can bring us to a resiliency informed community that informs everybody on how to connect with compassion, lead through persons and self-awareness, in addition to help young people regulate their selves. Imagine how much community will change if the young person standing there on the street in the real position needs to then crim themselves, and they can then utilize these skills and regulate themselves to then walk away from those moments. And so these are the real life situations. Next slide, please. Oh yeah, and I forgot to inform myself on that top right side. It's always in addition to the perspective shift, not being conformed to the things of the world, but being sort of transformed by a newness of mind and way of thinking. But why is it important for CREM skills with the youth we serve? Because our youth will find themselves at being called or under that term at risk far too often. Because trauma is, compounded in communities by racial inequities, the needs for economic reform, lacks of in education, poverty, and civic unrest, even included in our communities at the local level, at national and even global levels. And being exposed to that trauma and being able to get to it so quickly, including with technology, young people are really exposed. It's because trauma is, in addition to, youth labeled at risk are more likely to experience the abuse of incarceration, poor family community supports, substance abuse, and at many times will find themselves at a need to escape a moment of what I'll call a reality check, while maintaining some sort of awareness of a real world circumstance, and then ultimately make the best life choice, whether I'm hungry or in need, et cetera, in that moment. Our organization do believe that all youth should first be, as I shared earlier, revered as at opportunity, and given the resources needed to help them realize their natural born resiliency. And I believe also that the CREM wellness skills will help them develop a better sense of self-awareness, become better decision makers, effectively communicate. I always say effectively communicate. I remember Jim Valvano talked about think, laugh, cry some years ago when he was in dealing with cancer. I added to his speech that you should, in addition to effectively communicate, because at that point you can then release those honesties about where you are, and then that'll help you develop the conflict resolution skills that at times for young people we serve can be survivable. Uh, we hope that our collaborations and partnerships will give those youth the reality check of being exposed to now where their mind says, because of CREM skills helps them reach that, then they can also then pursue and ultimately fulfill those dreams. Next slide, please. Next slide, please.
Oh, Lena,
Mhm.
not sure what's going on.
That's okay. It'll give me a chance for a water.
All right. Let's see. Oh, her Zoom froze.
Mm.
That's what happened. So she's getting it back online. I just saw that. So, okay. Oh, it will come back, Reggie,
Mhm.
in just a moment. But I'm just really struck by your lived experience and how the transformation that you went through. And you said that there's that moment when you found faith, and then you also had mentors. Are there any things that your mentors shared with you that comes to light right now, kind of has illuminated your journey on um, this road to bringing um, all these wellness concepts
Yeah,
to at opportunity youth? I love
absolutely.
that term.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first one comes to mind, and I won't, for the sake of first name, last name, I'll just call him Jim. And if he's out there, then he'll know it, and then we can go from there. But the long version short, I was making about $10 an hour, and I taking on a ready-made family, and I was ready to support at a higher level. All I was asking for was 35 cents. I wanted a merit increase. I thought the work that I was doing warranted it. The long version short, the organization was growing. Michelin was coming in and they were doing big things here. And the long version short, they were going to be offering leadership roles, of which I thought I could fill one of them. And the long version short, Jim, I went in for that in that moment, asked for one of those opportunities. He told me what I needed to know how to do, and it was in that moment a perspective shift. Is going to be the next slide when we get back. Was the reality of you're looking at me from some perspective, but the reality is I know what I can do. I'm just not making the money for the work that I felt like I was doing. The long version short, he told me if I could show him that I could in fact do the things that I said I could do, then in fact he would spend the time with me and make sure that I could in fact learn how to be a general manager at the time. And I did show and prove, and he was a man of his word, and he helped in fact, in addition to create the pathway for me thinking that this was possible for me in this space as a manager and a leader, including now an executive director. But at the same time, the perspective shift was one of which, yeah, I can prove and show if given the resources and the support to do it. And that in fact was at that moment. So that's a long story short, but thanks for pulling that
And I
out.
think that's it. So, I think that's so important because the leadership in the organization also believed in that strength-based approach, that if you could show your strengths, then he would say, okay, let's see what we can collaborate together on.
Yeah, my team, including Shannon, we'd always talk about being in the right seat on the bus. Like, and I tell people with a joke, it's funny to me sometimes because having lived the life experiences that I've already shared, I tell people all the time, I'll get on the bus with anybody going anywhere, share with anyone, any discussions you want to have, as long as I trust the bus driver. That's important to me because
Yes.
I want to know where we're going. And so from that perspective, yeah, I think having those concepts in addition to the 3 R's of respect, relevancy, you'll get relationship. If you don't respect people and you don't make it relevant, you won't get a relationship. I tell people when we teaching with mentors, if you're not careful, a 5-year-old kid kick you in the kneecap, and if you 50 like me, it'll take you down, and it might be over. So you have to respect, make things relevant, and you get a relationship. The 4 L's will teach us to listen. If you listen, you'll learn something. If you learn, you might love someone for who they are, where they are, and then at that point you can become a leader. But those things are, as you were going closer to now, I think those wellness skills help build that foundation because they help you ground yourself in addition to the skills that you all are aware of. First, learn how to become your best self. And I think that's the concept, but our team does exude that. We planning on getting there by a 24 session program. It's going to be in person or virtual. We're going to target 14 to 18-year-olds, and I say, or any adult that wants to remember when they were able to get to 15 or 14 years old, that can come in and provide the wherewithal from this platform that can then educate them from the perspective of not just the end perspective of where you are now, but meet them at the beginning perspective of where they are and teach them from a place where we can meet them. We're going to go through weekly exercises and activities geared towards the CRM wellness skills. When I started this thought process, folk were saying how we wanted to, adjust it, based on the youth we serve. And I've been very intentional that by the time this is concluded, youth that we serve who are deemed at risk because they seem to not get it will be teaching wellness skills from their perspective. And it will be a reality because they'll be able to do that and they'll be able to be grounded. They'll be able to shift when they have to. They'll be able to do all things in addition to. So I'll leave it there because I get excited. We're going to help our students, as I shared earlier, become better listeners so that they can, in fact, learn that it is alternatives out here with regard to people's perspective. If you didn't learn from someone, you will love them. We're going to try to do that with compassion. And as I shared, I hope that with our, in addition to CRM time collaboration, we're going to build some leaders. I also believe that the CRM skills themselves at real time will help them real time CRM themselves if they find themselves having to make the decision of getting in a car or on the other side of making a poor life choice in all the directions that I think we all know of in the space that we're in. So I won't use the trauma for this team. I won't trigger anything. The resources that we're going to provide in addition to the CREM activities, just as they are, they will learn all things beginning at the amygdala to the limbic area to the cortex, which I'll show next. They're going to get that in time talk. They're going to be able to come and do some like spoken word stuff. They're going to be able to come, spend 2 to 3 to 5 minutes. They're going to get up. They're going to time talk, and they're going to make it from perspective. And we're all going to give them an opportunity to do it. And we're going to do it in addition to with music and some other stuff. Some meditations, emoji and stress balls. Simple as this. If you're feeling like this today, you're in a great space. The kids will have the opportunity to select the ball on how they feel. If you're feeling a little bit out of place today, that's cool. I get it. You know, you have nothing. You select and you tell me. And if, oh, by the way, you're feeling like this today, please do not mess with me in class today. But I'm here. And the kids will get an opportunity to share from that place. In addition to the mindfulness games, I won't go through all of them, but some of them really trip me out. We'll have an opportunity to share from a place, and it goes in line with the CREM model of counting backwards. But the directions is I'm going to give you guys some sequence numbers. Y'all are going to have to write them down in the sequence in which I share them. And from there, we're going to see who is the most CREM, because you'll be listening and aware, and you'll have the numbers and accuracy when we get there. In addition to, is I never leave. I've worn your book out, Miss Karas Miller. You see this thing? I don't even have a plastic cover on it no more. But
Gotta send you another one then, Reggie.
God bless your heart. Thank you so much. But this will be in addition to the guide, and then we use the pocket meditations, and those are things that will, in addition to, help them understand that. In addition to, don't be labeled by anybody's perspective of you. We'll take nature walks. I've got some recordings. Uh, I think I'm doing the skits of all of the wellness skills, but I take them and we add hip hop, and in addition to R&B and some other music to it to bring you to a place. And then we're going to hope that they can then create at the ends themselves with some collaborations that we have. And the nature walks will speak for themselves. Did you hear any bird out here, or were you just out here? Did you ever hear the rock or the sand or the dirt kick underneath while you were going up the trail or not? You know, that type of stuff. And so either way, these are some of the exercises that will be used. And next slide, please.
So Reggie, I'm just wondering, I imagine these recordings with the music are with you, I imagine they're pretty amazing. So is that something that you're willing to share with people, that so they can get a little taste of how Reggie rocks CREM?
Hilarious, right? And see, that's the notion of exactly how I felt today, right? See, I told you guys we might need to put one of those in. We've got some recordings, but we do have, hopefully at the end, because I'm not sharing it, that it'll be able to be shared on your end. We've got a video set where young people have, in addition to, created that space, and you'll get a chance to see how we all rock in addition to it. Thank you, Ms. Karas, for having that, sort of, yeah, that's exactly how we would be in that space. And so my hope will be you'll be able to see in that video. And if not, I will send you several. I took in the entire wellness skills and put them in by perspective in a collaboration with an organization called Backspins. And we laid down tracks, and we got it in a way that you will be surprised to hear, but I'll make sure you get it and then you can share with your audience.
Okay, well, there's a question in the chat about how long are each 24 sessions? How long a time are you with kids?
So as it is now, we've defined all of our programs on average by 2 hours. But in addition to, for me, I think it'll give us the space, because as I shared earlier, we're not going to take anything away from these skills. They're going to have time, and I'm going to give them time to learn them in depth at the words by verbatim. I want young people in the streets, is what I say all the time, talking parasympathetic and sympathetic. I want them talking speed up and slow down, and how I need to regulate. And so as it is now, our sessions across all our programs are 2 hours on session, and this one will follow the model. Because we're believing that we can take, in addition to this model, incorporate the skills as we're doing with what you've already done so eloquently, if I might add, and then bring this to youth in a way that we can make this an annual curriculum deal that we can present. We have not yet done that. I'm actually going to run this as a pilot this year through our programs. And so that'll be at no cost to anyone other than us identifying youth as I've done with our staff to then make those referrals in addition to others we'll share. And then from there, we'll start with a small group and see where we go with this. Miss Karas, as I could close with that though, I've been doing this now since 2014 as shared. I did not know that I had these skills until I learned them through the sensory language and all of the things that come that we had to learn. But as I've learned those things, the youth that I was dealing with from then, some of them have become 21 years of age. And those kids are in fact now using terms like the amygdala, fight, flight, or fright. They'll share those things with you as natural as I'm doing in this moment. But
That's
in
great.
saying all those things, yeah. So you're going to be able to click through these, the next one, if you don't mind, because it's going to just pop up. I just wanted you all to see that kids are in fact going to be learning from the exact terminology that was laid before us through this model. And if you don't mind stopping at the help now after you get that one up. There you guys have it. Kids are going to learn that. Here's the deal. Here's what's funny about most people I deal with in this CRM model. When I talk about tracking, they automatically always think that it means tracking the other person or somebody else's feelings or how they're reacting to them or how their nose squinted up, etc. But tracking in itself means that you track yourself, bring yourself to the awareness, and your nervous system best balances itself. And then you can deal with however somebody else look. Don't have nothing to do with you. Those kids are going to understand those values. They're going to understand resources in addition to being able to have some. I'm hopeful. Grounding, we've got all the exercises from counting backwards to pushing chairs down to the wall, to, as I talked about, going up on trails and enjoying nature. Gesturing. Now, when you talk about Reggie rocking, I'm not going to do it because of the fact that I'm sure my team around me might think I'm embarrassing somebody, but we're going to do all kind of gestures. We're going to do all kind of, the kids are, we're going to have a play at some point. And I hope that at some point do a rendition to where the youth that we serve will be doing the entirety of it all. And they'll share that in this space, which leads me to, we will be hosting the Department of Public Safety's annual youth summit on June the 16th. And with collaborators around the area here, including the Backspins, Dash, Life Connections, Trade Sports, and the Arts Empowerment with Juvenile Justice Behavioral Health Continuum, our youth are going to introduce CRM skills at that same summit. And so it'll be a 4-hour deal from 10 o'clock a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. on that date. I think it's June the 16th. But hopefully by then, our kids will be showing you how to do the CRM skills. And it might be CRM talk, CRM walk, CRM a lot of stuff. But
From TikTok, I understand there's a lot of
CRM
TikTok.
TikTok.
I'm just wondering, as you're talking like about the summit and about your community and all the work that you're doing, including the collaboration with the justice system, have you had collaborators from law enforcement that, because I think there's many of us that think, oh my goodness, this would really be good for law enforcement to learn some of these skills as well. And just curious about, is that happening?
Yeah, so we've been so fortunate as an organization to grow into many relationships, partnerships, and collaborations, 100 of them, I guess, or so now since the 4.5 years. And one of the things that we do at Focus is to connect with the local SROs, school resource officers, in addition to a push now through the sheriffs and local police departments, because the more I learn, the more the diversion is needed. And if by perspective shift, we can start a pathway that brings them to us prior to the adjudication, we can hopefully save more at some rate of a pace of which I've already showed it 6 times more with the young men who are going to find themselves in that space. And so, yes, ma'am, I guess at Broad, again, I think I've shared, we've had the opportunity to work with judges across counties, again, in addition to the JCPC, and I'll share a little bit later, but I'll just for the sake of now, our organization was fortunate to enter into a competition or a sharing, if you will, of your organizations. It's the SVP or Social Venture Partners Capital Investment Group there in Charlotte. But they select programs that give them an opportunity for a platform to share their organization in who's in an innovative and creative space. And in that space, last March 31st, we were fortunate to win this opportunity that gave us a seed grant that will hopefully extend services beyond the judge's order. So if we get them, imagine through before in by a diversion, to your point in law enforcement, then we can keep them through the connections of our now resources that will be extended to those young people. That if you don't get them connected, you reduce the trauma, recidivism goes down, because I've never been so lost in my mind. It took me all the way to 26 to come back. That's me personal. So I'm just giving y'all some timeline.
Well, and there's a really good question from Amanda Dollinger about will TYM be tracked how CRIM skills are helping the youth in the programming? I heard you mention Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, so I wonder if you will be incorporating utilization of CRIM skills as something that is being measured in program objectives.
Yeah, absolutely. We will have measurable objectives. We'll have realistic, outcomes. One of the things that we have to do because of the resources and how we receive the revenues, we have to, in addition to enter our information into a system called the NC Allies, and it tracks the youth that we receive. We can then scope the youth that we put into the programs. Our team's been so brilliant in that we've created all different types of software that can extract the needed information for us to kind of, as I'm hopeful for, going down the path of saying these are the specific youth that were introduced to crim time, is what we call it, crim time skills, in addition to and here are your outcomes. And so yes, yes and yes is the real time answer.
And Amanda has made another comment, which I think I'm so excited. I come from DJJ originally, and all of our DJJ and DPS friends need CRIM as well as the kids they serve.
I am fortunate in one of our counties we serve. So we serve Union County, Mecklenburg County, Cabarrus County, and Rowan County. I'll be fortunate on the 12th of June, speaking before the graduation class of SROs. And to your point, I think it will give us the pathway that I hope pushes across a wave in title. That, yeah, we get DJJ involvement, we get SRO involvement, we get law enforcement, local, and whatever at national if we need to, but to get us into a place of self, in addition to awareness, that we can first then start to figure out how we're going to solve the problems, in addition to the ones that our youth are most faced with. And those are real life choices. And that's the youth that we're serving at the level that we are. That's why those help now skills have to be in addition to where do I turn if I'm stressed out for real, And so we're creating those pathways to, in addition to make sure that they can have all those resources.
And also, I just want to make sure, I mean, some people may not know, I don't know if we said this in the beginning, you're in North Carolina.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure they knew where all those counties were from. But also Patricia Baginski has a comment. And, I think we need to make this a challenge. You're going to be hearing more from us about that. But wouldn't that be interesting if we did a TikTok challenge for our entire CRIM community all over the world and have people engage their community on creating TikTok little videos about the skills? I think that's coming. I think that's coming. Yeah, but Patricia Baginski, if it were on TikTok, it might hit a lot more kids. I think you're right. Patricia's from Connecticut and she's been working in school. So nice to see you on the line, Patricia.
So, and I won't make all the statements for the likes of who we're connected with, but in addition to, man, those are folk that are walking with me. I oftentimes tell people that if I was still in the private sector today, I might have been a vice president with the team we've got. But in addition to, they're creating those little animated and in the space of the ability to do that, in addition to animation and music and all the things that we're doing with regard to, my hopes will be in the future, as I shared, you guys will see a rendition of CRIM time or something on some national stage. And then those kids will be able to say that they came through the pathway, but I am who I am because of the fact that I was able to, whatever wellness skill they use, because these are the realities that we're not all cut off the exact same fabric, although we're connected, we have our own individual, unique perspective. And that's what I want young people to realize, that you are in fact unique in your own independency. And the fact that you have an opinion should be the perspective of others to at least want to hear it. And then from there, we can make some realistic or rational decisions about how then do we get you from your reality to where you can go based on my reality. And so that's a future that I'm dreaming on. We'll see how far that takes me.
Oh, and I love your little acronym, Crim Time. That's wonderful.
Uh,
That's
Thank you so
great.
much. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. I won't belabor them again, just for the sake, but it looks like we're tracking, so this is really good. But we want some measurable outcomes to the point. We want them to make sure that they realize the resiliency in their self, that they understand the importance of those wellness skills. They're going to learn basic biology. They're going to even learn about the pineal gland. They're going to learn about things that, in addition to that, I've been adding, especially to, because I believe these kids can learn. But they're going to have a basic understanding of their autonomic nervous system and how that works, as I've shared with you all, how that slows and speeds. I like being a Pisces and having a wife and a director of operations. If y'all can imagine how much I need to stay regulated, as a Pisces at least has two. But if you can stay in the middle and just stay like grounded, then you can go a long way. But either way, that's a sidebar. But I want to make sure they understand how one can be pushing when the other one is slowing down. But at the exact same time, it's on you to take that, analyze that, and then make the best decision for yourself in that moment. And then I say, if you're walking down the center of those two fish, you're the most regulated dude or dudette somewhere around town. But we're going to create healthy reactions. I'm going to help them understand that you jerking is not really, it's not negative, but we're going to make sure that you can express yourself healthy. You're going to be able to effectively communicate. You're going to problem solve, and you're going to use conflict resolution skills. Please believe me, I look like this today, but I had to use a lot of conflict resolution skills in my lifetime. Decrease the stress by widening their resiliency. They're going to know that. They're going to know what their resiliency is, starting from everybody here. And then my hope is that they'll learn what that looks like to widen that over the course of the weeks that will go. And then the negative reactions, yeah, slow down, pump the brakes a little bit, chill a little bit, and we'll get them there. I'm sure they will. You can click the next three. As I shared earlier, we'll take you right through the process. Your survival brain is, in fact, that you're trying to make it out here. You know, your scenario is your scenario. But from there, your instincts are a reality check. But if I can get you through the emotions and feelings of that, I'm going to help you get to the cortex, your thinking part of that. And I hope that our youth will make those best life choices after they understand that. Next slide, please. So the quick version is Willie's living with his 15-year-old grandparents. He's a young kid that has a lot of times math problems in addition to that mom or grandparents can't help him with because he's outgrown them from the place of stand. He's already frustrated at school, and he's knowing already that the math teachers are going to call on him to answer a problem from last night. Willie already feels his chest tightening up. His face becomes hot. His palms are sweaty. This is like an Eminem song on its way. Willie doesn't know the answer to the question, but later on that afternoon, he's now in fact been bumped into, and he ultimately has a part. He has to come out here and put these bricks down for us. Could be a part of your community service. This because community service for us, if you then say your interest is working with your hands, it might culminate into a career path like this, to kind of tie that back earlier. But Willie finds out when he got there, his tools ain't in the position that he's in. Well, if Willie's in my class, I'm gonna ask Willie, what skill did you use to stay grounded? And he's gonna help me get there. In addition to put the bricks down as he needs to, and complete the task with the supports that we'll have in place for him too. Next slide, please. So I don't know then, I had, when I was gonna have the controls, you won't be able to click it, but there's a little play button there. If you can hover over and click play, there you go, boom, it might in fact do it. So I don't hear the sound. Next slide, please. But as you're leaving the next slide, on the left-hand side, you see that was my wife and my granddaughter. We took them with 20 quote unquote at-risk or at opportunity youth who just needed to get outside of the space that they were in. And you won't imagine the time we had in Washington, D.C. I won't go into the phase of tearing that up or not. How about that? We have in fact made a difference. We've served, as you see, with regard to youth. I've talked about the now gained assets. We can move because we have now 13 programs across the 6 counties. As I've shared, we logged the miles. We were in fact SVP's C20 winner in March of last year. We've done the community service hours. We've transitioned into virtual and personal because we still done small group. And the math is what it is. When you divide the successful completions, not in this one because the year is not yet ended until June, but on average, we successfully complete better than 90% of our youth. And so I'm imagining if we can put some percentage of that into CRM skills and wellness skills and regulation skills, how much community recidivism we'll see with regard to the youth that we serve when we meet them at. And so next slide, please. And I think at that point of being done. So we like to say to ourselves that if you want us help in any other ways outside of, in addition to, please know that it is a movement. We believe in that, not a moment. But you can be a mentor. You can donate space, technology. You can get connected by allowing youth to get connected. When they do their interest, we use a profiler that gives us some through a 60 questionnaire profiler and where they most likely want to land with regard to careers. Then we need to find those partnerships so they can get the exposure. We manage that. We do all the things from where we take any work from any of our partnerships with regard to, except for those that want to be a part. You can come and be a guest speaker. I would love the movement. Miss Miller-Karas, you getting the early offer right now. You want to be on the track? We can make it happen.
I'm there.
We'll make a track, and you can come and speak to some of our youth, and the rest is, I just as well say you can be an advocate for what we're doing. You heard who we are. We're so excited to have this platform, and thank you guys for allowing again us to have this opportunity, Ms. Karas, to share.
Well, you are so welcome, Reggie. I mean, the program looks wonderful. I mean, it really hit me while you were talking how replicable it could be all over the country.
Yes.
What you've put together.
Yes.
So I really would like to open this up for questions. I see that we have people from school districts. We have people from, many parts of the country. In fact, if people want to, even say your name, I usually start with that. And I didn't this morning, I apologize, but your name and where you're from. But I also, I'm wondering too, this is my question, and let's open it up. Is it, how are you interfacing with the school system? Or are you interfacing with the school systems?
So no, so fantastic. So as it is now, we mostly are getting referrals through the school resource officers. Our meetings are generally with the principal and that team, and then from there a logistical person that becomes the SRO, and then the selection process is being made through there. We're only in our 5th, or we'll conclude 5 years in June. Now we've learned so much over the years. We're believing that we are ready to diverse in many ways. As I shared earlier, I helped build organizations for Michelin and Brambles around 26 states, in addition to, And because of that, I do in fact know and believe that we can be an organization that crosses over just the states. I've shared with our team, though there's 100 counties in North Carolina. We'll try and start here first. And then from there, if there's anybody that wants to partner with us, our team knows how.
We have many people in North Carolina, so I don't think you're going to have any problem finding partners, right? So I want to make sure that if Alina can put your web page into the chat so people know how to get in touch with you, because there may be people also that have questions after this conversation. So I'm just going to pause for a moment and see if people want to put questions in the chat, or you could unmute yourself and ask Reggie a question directly. Oh yeah, so Lylan Wingfield is here from Greensboro, North Carolina, and Ryan Etheridge is from Shelby, North Carolina. And I saw more in here. They're just not saying it at that moment in time. I'm not seeing them putting it in. So let's see if there's any brave souls that will unmute themselves and ask you a question.
And if not, North Carolina, so like I said, there's 100 counties here. And I'm actually from a small town, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Greensboro touched us. We called ourselves the triad between Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and High Point. And so broad space, but yeah, certainly large in the overall footprint.
We have Deirdre Moyer from Eden, North Carolina as well. And oh, Jacqueline didn't mean to raise her hand. Okay, Jacqueline. She's here with us, but she didn't mean to. Okay. Let's see if there's any questions coming through. Oh, Michelle Williams. Okay, we got a hand raised. Michelle. Can't hear you. Hopefully we'll soon. Michelle?
Might be muted.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Hi guys, sorry.
Hi, Michelle.
I'm actually in the meeting, but I'm in the store. But I just wanted to elaborate how much the program helped my son. We got connected with Reggie when we moved to North Carolina back in 2017, and my son was having issues in school, and he connected with Reggie. And since then, Reggie has become a part of our family, and he has helped my son in so many ways that it's phenomenal and unexplainable. He helped my son to graduate through the military program. So this program that he's actually introducing to you guys, it's such a phenomenal program. It will definitely help the youth, because it helped my son. He's 19 now, but it has definitely helped him along the way. It helped him to just become a better man. And I know that it will help our youth, and it's something that is needed out here.
Thank you so much.
And across everywhere, not only in North Carolina, but my son is even trying to extend Reggie's program here in Maryland. Like, I'm in Columbia, Maryland, and that's all he talk about is Reggie's program. So he's trying to connect the people here with Reggie's program. That's how phenomenal it is. Like, he's family to us. So whatever we could do to, to help him and extend this is what we're gonna do. Like, you see, I'm in a grocery store right now, but I'm on the program.
Well, Reggie, you might have to rethink this idea of just being in North Carolina for right now. I think that Michelle's a very strong, at least But, Michelle, can I ask you a question too? You said it helped your son.
Yes.
And how did it help you as his mom? I can imagine.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you, from day one, Reggie walked into chaos into my household. Okay. I mean, I literally mean day one. When he knocked on the door, me and my son were at each other. And I was like, get him out my house now. And ever since then, my son called Reggie whenever he needs to. He calls my son. My son is his son, and he calls Reggie Pops. And that's how much he has really instilled in my son and become a part of our family.
Michelle, thank you so much for that, because I think this is the other thing, Reggie, that when we work with youth, we work with the entire family.
Yeah.
Yes.
That means it, and that means the good works that you're doing, it spreads.
Oh,
I didn't know Ms.
He has
Michelle.
definitely helped me.
Yeah, I didn't know Miss Michelle was going to get on today, but I did see it with people across. When she say chaos, the literal first question I asked them was, "Do y'all do this every day?" No, I said, "How often do y'all do this?" And they said, "No, not that much, not that much." I said, "Well, how much is not that much to y'all?" Well, about 3 days or so a week.
I just have to say, here's Sarah Vining from South Dakota. She goes, "This is amazing. Thank you for sharing. I'm here from South Dakota. You are welcome here anytime."
Yes, definitely, definitely. It will help. I mean, it's a program I feel like just need to be across the country. Seriously. Our youth need it, especially with everything that's going on. They need it. And it's definitely a big help. Seriously.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a lot of emotion, y'all. I'm in the limbic area now, trying to cram myself.
Oh, he's so good about the brain. He even calls out his limbic system when he's getting emotional. Oh my gosh!
I'm sorry.
Listen,
I can't help but
y'all want to hear a real cram moment. I'm going to be on this moment in this show today at 12 o'clock. At 10:07. I was told that I needed to move 6 vans from the front of our parking lot to the back of our parking lot because they're going to now lay down concrete. I had to cram myself in every way you think you can imagine.
There's other questions coming in, and there's lots of people from North Carolina saying things, but there's one from Scott Lee from Atlanta. He says, have you been able to tap into surrounding colleges and universities for volunteers to join in learning your program and spreading it as well? I could see where students looking to find their calling could jump on with you with what you're offering. Thanks for your good work.
Yeah, thanks so much. But yeah, so fortunate to have relationships at Wingate College, UNC Charlotte, Livingstone, RCC, Davidson College. Davidson College is right now their communications graduation class using a COM 495 grant, I believe it is. They've selected our organization to do a theory and thesis on to help, in addition to promote all of what we're trying to accomplish. So yeah, we've been fortunate with those so far. Would love to connect with them in addition to some Winston-Salem State and some other places. But yes, definitely, I believe the community, the meeting youth at college level will hopefully expand my lifetime because I'm getting to be a little playing a 15-year-old kid in basketball now.
Well, Reggie, we're going to have you come back again. I think Kevin McLeod, who's our director of development from TRI and head of our EDI committee, is saying the program works. Reggie can tell you stories about kids putting the skills into their own context and explaining them. And I think we need more of that because, we teach the community resiliency model skills in a certain formulaic way, but you all enliven it when you bring it into your communities and contextualize it so that it becomes in the hands of youth and whomever you're sharing it with. So Reggie and your team, thank you so much. You are a blessing on the planet. You have brightened my day to day, and I imagine you brighten many people who have been listening. And thank you so much. And I just want to invite everyone to check out their website. Say your website out loud so people can hear your voice saying your website.
It's gonna be like thunder if I do it like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and scale back down.
Go ahead. If you want to say it like thunder, you can.
I want to say thanks to Mr. McLeod who inspired me in addition to make me believe in addition to after Elena doing her training that this could in fact work in the communities that we serve. But if you guys want to get connected to us, we're www.tyminc.org. Again, www.tyminc.org. And if y'all hear the birds testifying to it too, that you hear this.
Reggie, thank you again. And we'll see you all on our next CRIM Global call. And please reach out for Reggie. I'll be contacting you too, Reggie, because you need to say this on my Voice America show. So we're going to get you scheduled as soon as possible so you can spread it even wider. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much.
Great job, my